大家好，我的名字是 Juan van Wassenhove，我中文名字是温所诺。今天的话题是关于遗产保护，but in fact, the topic is about vision, courage, persistence. 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, I lived in Beijing, working between Beijing and Shanghai. I was an investment banker, but I discovered this place. It's in the historical heart of Beijing, 100 meters away from the Forbidden City, next to Jingshan and Meishuguan. And when I saw this property, basically it was love at first sight, and our only one idea is to save it and restore it. I have to say I had not much experience in that field. I had a dream, but maybe it was a folly. And everybody around me thought that this place would never have any success because the traffic was very impractical. 交通非常不方便. But I'm very persistent and immediately realized that I had to work with friends. And I contacted two wonderful friends by the name of Lin Fan and Zhou Lixian. And the three of us, with our persistence, vision, imagination, start to take on this heavy project. What we wanted to do is set an example for a responsible renovation. And by that, we mean that in China, very often, we see complete renovation or no renovation at all. So two extremes. One is you don't see the pass of time, or the other example, it collapses. And we wanted to create something in between by the principle of 修旧如旧, meaning that we wanted to keep as much as possible all the raw materials that were used over the last 400 years on this building. A lot of people thought that basically we wanted to save money, but in fact, we cleaned up 60,000 tiles by hand. We evacuated 300 trucks of debris, of rubbish through small alleys. And basically the thing we wanted to also say to people was, you know, taking care of a building is like taking care of your old mother. It requires a lot of patience. And if you think that you can send your mother in a cosmetic hospital to have surgery and save her life, well, it's not going to be that way because your mother will be like this, no wrinkles, no, you could read her story, her happiness, her, you know, difficulties through her life. 4 years later, this is what we have. We were very honored to be awarded a UNESCO prize as the best restoration of an historic monument in Asia. But why did we do all this? In China, there is more or less 1 million buildings who deserve restoration. And we thought that our number one aim was to try to set an example for a responsible commercial model to upkeep all these buildings. Because without revenues, you cannot upkeep. You know, it's very difficult. You know, everything is in wood. Fire is the number one risk. There is a lot of expenses involved. So you need a commercial model to upkeep. And the second major objective was to connect young people, young generation, to their historical heritage. We think this is very important because with very clear cultural identity, people are getting much more creative. I have to tell you a story. A year ago, in 2020, in January, I really had to go to Japan to meet a fantastic artist. Well, I came back in October because I couldn't come back. And what I realized, the temple was also closed for 9 months. But when I came back, a lot of young people were visiting us. A lot of young kids interested, connected to cultural heritage. So we have started designing a lot of programs for kids, youngsters, young adults, and whatever we do basically is fully occupied. Of course, social media is always a very important component in what you do. People want to stage themselves, but at least they're coming physically to see you. Another objective that me and my partners, we wanted to realize is culture, of course, has no borders. And beauty is universal. But we think that culture is consumed in a different way. It's not only you see an exhibition or you go to a museum. You need to create a very special experience which make all your senses alert. And that's what we have been trying to do. This is a beautiful dinner that we organized with Tsai Guoqiang. So we keep curating a lot of cultural events, and music, of course, is a very important part of what we're doing. We also have a restaurant, a tea house, and we curate exhibition. Again, culture has no border, so we invite foreign artists and local artists, and keeping the dialogues between borders, I think it's something that we have to keep. One of the things I'm most proud in this restoration project is basically to have been able to invite James Turrell to do a permanent installation in our premises. James is probably the #1 artist working the subject of light. And our space is a space to do meditation and to watch sunrise and sunset. And it's a place where you can relax, you can enjoy, and you can surrender. And I'm insisting on surrendering, which is also something very important in the crisis that we are all facing. At some point, we have to accept the reality. We have to let it go. Of course, we have to fight. We have to be responsible. But we have to let it go and accept what the environment is imposing on us. 在我们的大殿有一句话，有一个标语，实际上我们决定保留，因为是属于历史呢，那是团结、紧张、严肃、活泼。然后我觉得这个标语实际上是非常表达我和我的合伙人在这个修复的过程当中面对。我一个人肯定不可能做任何事情，所以我们必须团结呢。做一个大事情，那肯定我们很紧张，我们不知道是不是会好的效果、不好的效果，有风险。严肃， 肯定我们必须负责。我开始做这个项目的时候，实际上我在上海有一个非常舒服的一个工作，但是这是一个文物保护的一个建筑呢，如果发生任何事情，基本上是我的责任，所以我放弃这个很好上海的生活，去北京。然后呢，最重要的呢是活泼 ，enjoy, it's fun. So I really welcome you to come to Beijing and see this beautiful bridge between heritage and contemporary China and the West. Thank you very much.